Hey guys, welcome back to the channel and welcome to another ASMR video. And in today's video I am going to be looking at the map of the United States, and more specifically I'm going to be colouring in each of the 50 states. And after I have completed the colouring, I'm going to label each state. So, bit of a geography lesson in this video today. Maybe you already know the 50 states, but if you don't, it might be fun to learn the location of some of the states in America that you probably have heard of, but don't know where they are located on the map. So that is what we have planned for today. So I have this printout of the map of the United States, which I got online, and I'm just going to colour in each state with a random colour. So the colour I colour the state in really has no bearing on anything. It is just a random colour that I'm going to select for each state. And as I say, once I have completed the colouring, we will then move on to the labelling of the states. So let's begin, and I think we will begin from left to right. So we will colour in the larger states here in the western side of the United States. And I'm going to begin with this state here, which is California. Spoiler alert. But let's begin with California. And I'm going to do it in this bright yellow colour. And I mentioned before that the colours I choose for the states have no bearing on anything, but I guess subconsciously I chose yellow because California gets a lot of sun. Possibly. Yeah, let's go with that. You always see in movies that California is like this place everybody wants to go to. Everybody moves to California from somewhere else. And I'm not sure if that's true in real life or if that's just for the movies. But it really is seen as like the main state in America that everybody wants to go to. So these pencils that I'm using, they're not particularly dark, so our map will be quite light in nature, but it will be dark enough to be able to tell what the colour is. So I think you can clearly tell this is yellow that I'm using, even though it is quite light in nature. So there we have California. And the next pencil I'm going to choose is a bright pink one. And let's do this state here above it. And I will refrain from naming the states until the labeling portion of the video. My knowledge of the US map is quite good, I would say. It's not perfect, but I do know quite a lot of the states. But I do have a map off screen that I will be using to aid me in labeling some of the states. Basically just to keep me right in case I do make an error. But I think western side of America. So this will be the most time-consuming section of our map. I think it's very interesting, the shape of some of these states, how they have completely straight lines for the state borders. This is quite interesting. I actually have a few friends that live in America who I met through games forums where I used to play games quite a few years ago. But there are a few people from there that I've kept in touch with even after games were sort of completed. They kind of died out. And there is still a forum and people occasionally chat there. But mostly the people that I have stayed in touch with, I chat with on Skype. I think there are probably two main people who I talk to, and both of them live in the eastern side of America. One of them lives here, which is New Jersey, which is another spoiler, but there we are. One lives here in New Jersey, and the other lives over in this sort of direction, which is Virginia. Yeah, so one lives there in Virginia, and the other lives in New Jersey. But through playing games, I did get to encounter people from all over America. But for the most part, I've lost touch with those people. It's kind of a part of our lives that has moved on. I think when we played games, we were quite young at the time. And then, as you get older, life gets in the way. So there we have a blue state complete. And let's move on and use a nice bright orange pencil next and do this state here, which is another very straight edge state with straight line borders. But I think that makes it easier to color. So that was very quick to do that one. And that orange pencil was a bit darker than the blue one. I had to go over the blue one a bit more than I have done for this orange pencil. Let's do this state up in the top left hand corner in this kind of strange, kind of brown shade. And obviously I'm going to run out of colours very soon. But I think the main thing in doing this is just to avoid putting the same colours next to each other. I think that's the main thing I'm going to look to avoid doing, and it shouldn't be too difficult, as we do have a decent variety of colours to use. So that is the brown one, almost complete. I think that is just a standard sort of brown shade. But I'm going to have to avoid using the black pencil or the white pencil for obvious reasons. I don't want to use the black one, as I will be writing most of the states in state box, so if I use black, you're not going to see the ink. And the next pencil I'm going to use will be a nice sort of dark orangey shade. It's darker than this shade, but I think what I'll do is I will begin in this state just in case it is the same sort of colour. And in fact, it is red, which it doesn't really look, but it is a red colour. I guess it does. Maybe I'm going colourblind. In my light, it kind of looks orangey, but on the camera, it does look red. So, a slight optical illusion there, perhaps. And this shade of red is similar to this one, but it is a different pencil. So it was good that I decided to use it here to avoid these two states touching. I'm just going to turn my map this way in order to complete this coloring, as it's going to be easier to color along this line sideways. And again, this line here as well. So as I mentioned earlier, I may need to turn the map occasionally to complete certain sections of it. But I think that works out just fine. And there we have the red state complete. Just try to blend it a little better. Avoid any dark lines. I think that looks just fine. And we have a couple of yellow pencils. So I think this is a different one to the one I was using before. And we will do this state. And I think this is a slightly darker shade of yellow. We have two yellow pencils. In fact, we have at least two shades for each colour. So I'm going to do my best to use every pencil in this pack. And I think that's starting to look quite good. And hopefully you can tell on camera that that is a different shade of yellow. It is slightly darker than the one used previously. I'm not sure it will come up on camera though, but it is slightly darker than the other one. And I think we will move back and use another green pencil, and this time we're going to use this one, which is, I think it's more of an olive green. So we'll give that a go. Let's see how it turns out. And I think you can tell on camera that it is a darker shade, as with the yellow pencil which I used previously. We have more of an olive type shade here. And I think what I'm going to do after completing this state is so we have our page under our top sheet here, and hopefully that will avoid any lines coming through from the table design. But yeah, I think that looks grand. And I'm going to pick up a blue pencil once again. And I'm going to do this state at the top in blue. And I think I will turn to the side ever so slightly. And if you are from the United States and you're watching this video, do let me know what state you come from in the comment section down below, as I'd love to hear where viewers are watching this from. So there we have another blue state complete. And I think we will move on, and I haven't yet used this purple pencil, so I'm going to use that next. And let's do this state here. I almost missed this pencil out for some reason, but thankfully I spotted it. So there will be purple in our map as well. We don't want any colours to miss out. And I don't think you're really supposed to colour in different directions, but I don't think it's too noticeable that the lines are going different ways. It's kind of tricky. The map is quite small, so it is kind of tricky to do all one direction, but I don't think that looks too bad. And it's not as if we are entering any colouring competitions or anything. So we will move on from that pencil, and let's move back to a shade of pink once again, and do this state here in a nice pink shade. This state here is actually located to the northwest of the main part of America, and it is much bigger than this in real life. Let's move to a sort of grey colour here, which we haven't yet used, and let's use the grey colour up here. And we'll see how that turns out. Hopefully it won't be too dark. I think it's coming out okay. It's not going to be too dark when it comes to our labeling portion of the video. this is intended, but I think it looks well with all the different colours. So let's move on to this state here, and let's go with this colour here, which looks to be kind of a turquoise kind of colour. We haven't yet used it, so let's see what this looks like. And it does indeed kind of look turquoise in nature. Hopefully the camera kind of picks that up, but in real life it is kind of a turquoise colour. I think that looks quite nice. Or perhaps it's not turquoise, it could be teal. T-E-A-L. Teal. The two colours are quite similar in nature, I think. It's kind of hard to tell with these pencils. But whatever colour it is, I think it looks nice. And let's just try to complete this section at the bottom. Okay, and now let's do this large southern state. And what colour shall we pick? Let's go back to a yellow colour for this one, as the yellow we've used are both up in this corner. So this is the largest state that I'm going to have to colour today on this map. Really, as I mentioned, it should be this one, but on this map it is this state here. But that's okay. I think I'm almost complete with the colouring of this section in this nice shade of yellow. I think that will do just fine. So let's move on to, I think I'm going to pick this pencil here, and I don't believe we've used it, and it looks a sort of peachy type colour. So let's see how that turns out on the page. It's very light in nature, but I do believe it's a sort of peach colour. So that is very light in nature, but I think that looks well. And let's move back to our red pencil. And I'm not sure if we've used this one yet. I don't think we have. So let's see how this one looks. I can sort of tell which pencils we've used based on how sharp the lead is, and this one feels like it's been unused, and it is a slightly different shade of red to the one used previously up here. So we are using as many different pencils as we can in colouring in our map of the United States. I think that will do just fine. So I'm going to use a blue shade for this state. And again, I don't think I've used this blue pencil. It does feel unused. I have a packet of 24 pencils, so I'll be using the majority of them in colouring in our map here today. So really the only ones we're not going to be using are the black pencil and the white pencil. But we will basically be using all of the others. So that is that one complete. And we do now move on to some smaller states. So they should be quicker in colouring in. So we move back to a pencil I have used previously. I can tell from the lead, and it is our brown pencil. So we are now moving to the mid-eastern section of America, or perhaps they call it Midwest, which is a term I've heard before. I'm not sure exactly where it is located. It might be here, the Midwest, sort of the midsection before you reach the West. So correct me if I'm wrong on that, but I think that is right. Let's move back to a purple shade. And I don't think I've used this purple, as the lead is very sharp. Let's now move on to an orange shade once again for this northern state here. And I think orange is one of my favourite colours. It's very bright. I do tend to favour brighter colours. So there we have that one, basically complete. And let's move on to our next state, and let's see what colour shall we do it. Let's move back to our shade of green for this southern state here. Let's now select an orange shade again, I think, for this one next to it. I know I just did orange, but it is at opposite ends of the map. I think it's going to get a bit trickier as we get to these smaller states. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to colour in some of these states in orange and try to use the one pencil for a number of states rather than continuously swap pencils. So we'll just do a few in each colour. So there's 3 states in this section in orange. Some more blue states. Let's do this state in the corner in blue. And I think this will slightly speed the process along. So we'll do that one in blue, and we'll do this one in blue as well. I think that will do for now for our blue states. So let's put that to the side and let's do some more green states. Let's do this one in green. And let's do this state here in green as well. So we are now looking to do a number of states in one go, which is easier than having to swap pencils continuously. So we'll try to spread it around as evenly as we can. But there we have 3 more green states. And let's look to do some purple states now, I think. So let's do this state here in purple. Let's do this state here in purple as well. And let's do one more in purple. Let's do this one here as well. And then we will give the purple pencil a rest. And I think the next colour we will do will be yellow, because we don't have any yellow over on this side of our map. Okay, so that is the purple complete. And let's do this one in yellow first of all. And again, let's look to pick 3 states to do in yellow. So there's 1. Let's do this one as well. This looks like a nice yellow state to me. And let's pick 1 more yellow state. And let's do this one. Okay, so there we have 3 more yellow states. And So let's go for this state here to begin with in this nice red pencil. And that looks well to me. And so far we have avoided in getting any colors that are the same next to each other. So we'll do that in red, we'll do this in red, and we'll do this one in red too. And I think we can use a bit more than 3 for this one, as those states are very small. So we'll also do this one in red because, let's face it, who doesn't like red? It's a very popular color. So let's use it as much as we can. So I think that will do for the red. So we can move that to the side. And let's go back to a shade of brown. And I don't think I've actually used this shade of brown yet. So we will use that. And let's do this bigger state in the north in this kind of light brown shade. And it does look quite similar to the orange, but it is different for sure. It's kind of a light brown color. And we'll do this state in the brown as well. It's quite a zigzaggy state line there at the top. And let's do this smaller one up here as well, in this shade. Okay, so let's move on to another color, and I think let's go for, I'm just trying to decide what color to use. We will go back to this grey color, which we haven't used for a while, and let's do these ones here in grey, at least a couple of them anyway. And this section is very, very small now, so I don't think it's overly important what we use here. But that will do for the grey. And let's move on to our next colour. And let's see what we use. Let's use this peach colour, which I know we've used a fair bit, but let's just do that there and there. And we are at the point now of very small states here. So let's just complete this section with some pink. And we have a pink state there and a pink state there. And I do believe that that's all of them complete. I don't think I've missed any out, apart from these two here. So let's do this island state in pink as well, just to fill in those little islands there. And then we just have the one more to do. And what color shall we do for this state? Let's go for a nice, I'm going to go with a nice red color for this state. So we will fill that state in as best we can. And that will be the colouring portion of the video complete. And then we can move on to our labeling. And for the labeling portion, I'm just going to begin as I did the colouring portion of the video, and we will begin on the as well. Quite happy with that. So there we go, guys. There are all 50 states of America colored in with various colors. I think it turned out quite well. It looks very colourful indeed. And we will begin with this state, which I did mention at the start of the video, and it is California. And north of California, we have Oregon. And in the top left corner here, we have Washington State. And then this green state here that we've colored is called Nevada. And this large state here, which is located to the northwest of America, beside Russia, is called Alaska. And this island state here is called Hawaii, which I'm sure you've heard of. In fact, I'm sure you've heard of all of these states, but you may not know the locations of them on the map. So this state here is Arizona. And to the north of Arizona, we have Utah. And to the north of that, up here, we have Idaho. And this state here is called Montana. And below Montana, we have Wyoming. And these states have some of the lower populations in America. And this state here is Colorado. And below Colorado, we have New Mexico. And this very large state here is Texas. And above Texas, we have Oklahoma. And to the north of Oklahoma, we have Kansas. And to the north of Kansas, we have Nebraska. And to the north of Nebraska, we have two states where north and south. We have North Dakota. And we have South Dakota as well. And to the east of the Dakotas, we have Minnesota. Okay guys, so I did make an error there, unfortunately, but I will come back and label the other states here. So we have this one, which is Iowa. We have Missouri right here. This is Arkansas. This is Louisiana. We have Illinois right here. And here we have Indiana. And above Indiana we have Michigan. So I think that brings us up to speed so far. I got Iowa and Indiana mixed up slightly, as well as Illinois. In fact, I think it's the fact that they all have I at the start of their names that kind of got mixed up there, but we will move on to our next state, and it is this one, which is Kentucky. And to the south of Kentucky we have Tennessee. This state right here is Mississippi. And beside Mississippi we have Alabama. And to the east of Alabama we have Georgia. And to the south of Georgia we have Florida. So we are now moving on to these smaller states, which are a bit more tricky to label, but we should be okay. And these two states right here are the Carolinas. So we have South Carolina here and North Carolina right here. Virginia, we have West Virginia. This state right here is Pennsylvania. And above Pennsylvania, we have New York. Beside New York, we have Vermont. And beside Vermont, we have New Hampshire. Next to New Hampshire, we have Maine. And below Maine, we have Massachusetts. So we have to be very careful at this section not to get anything wrong. So I'm just going to have to do this very carefully. And below Massachusetts, right here, is Rhode Island. And beside Rhode Island, right here, we have Connecticut. And beside Connecticut, we have New Jersey. And if I do miss any states out here, I will make sure to come back and make sure they are filled in. I won't miss any states out, I hope. And below New Jersey, we have Delaware. And this state here is Maryland. And I'm just going to check, but I think that may be all the states complete. The only thing that I haven't mentioned is Washington, D.C., which is around this section here, but we won't label it at this stage. I think we will leave it there for the labeling portion of the video, but I think that is all 50 states marked on our map, I do believe. And I have now realized that I have missed one out, and it is Ohio. So let's put that in there and do one final scan of our map to make sure that we haven't missed any states out. With there being so many states, it is easy to miss some out, but I think we have now got all 50 states. So I think that will do for today's video. But I want to thank you for joining me for this video today. And if you enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up down below. Subscribe to the channel, and if you hit the notification bell, you will get notified when all of my videos go live on the channel. But as always, rest easy, sleep well, and I will see you all very soon for another video, and goodbye for now.